Yo, what's up, guys? This is D Brown with Track Headz, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Track Headz. So today is going to be a very special episode. We're going to be talking about the first time I broke 50 seconds. So, I've been looking back at some of the videos that I've made previously, and a lot of people seem to have responded pretty well to the 100 meter, like how I broke or how I ran 10.6 for the first time. So I want to give some more insight into, some of the big barriers I kind of broke, the 50 seconds and 22 seconds and running under 204 for the first time, just, in previous races that I ran when I was in high school. So, I wanted to, like I said, give you some information about how I broke 50 seconds for the first time in the 400. So let's get started. So first things first, when I broke 50 seconds for the first time, it was a little bit late. My story was a little bit different than anyone else. I wasn't this phenom out of high school that was running like 47 and all these crazy times. Out of high school, I was running 11.2, I was running 22.48, and I was running a 400 of 50.17. All right. Typically, the way that I ran my 400s, because of the coaching and, the advice that I was pretty much given at the time, is I would just go out and set the pace really, really hard, like really, really heavy at the first 300 and just hang on for dear life. That's typically how I ran it pretty much my whole career, up until this moment, right? I would like split like probably 35-8 and die at like 16, 17 seconds to run 51, 52, sometimes even 53 seconds. I was fast enough, I had a 22.48 PR, but it just never happened while I was in high school. I also graduated when I was pretty early, like 17 years old. So, the coaching, didn't necessarily enable me to come up with a strategy to benefit the fact that I wanted to break 50 seconds and run 49 and run 48 and all these fast times. I also wasn't doing anything in practice to help with that too. So fast forward, I go to college, I run the 400 meter hurdles. I get down to like 54.7. I did a couple 50-second splits, but I just never really got my big progression from 50.1 my senior year of high school to 49, 48, 47 my first year of college. So when I got back home, I got back home in May, pretty early compared to, high school. And I got to work. I had a bunch of friends who I ran track with, and they helped me out. And I was able to break 50 seconds, and it was definitely wasn't easy. I ran a track meet right after I left my first year of college, and I ran 2 400 meter races, right? So I ran a prelim and a final. In my prelim, I ran the 400 pretty even split, right? So I don't know the typical splits, but if I were to guess, I probably ran like 24 high to 24 mid in the first 200. And then I tried to come back at the last 200, and my body was just not able to turn over, and it wasn't strong enough to turn over in that last 150. So my body it's almost like I had a gear issue. Like my body was just not turning over the way I wanted it to. Then I came back in the final, and I ran probably like 51, I believe I ran like 51.5. Then I came back in the final and ran it just, I ran it hard from the gun. A little bit of a float on the back stretch, but ran it hard, and I ran like 51.2 or 51.06 or something like that. And so basically I was in shape to run 51 coming out of college, coming out of that first year of college. I also ran some 200s. I ran 22.47, so I ran 0.01 faster than my senior year in high school. And then so yeah, my 200 and my 400 basically stayed, pretty much the same. My 400 suffered. I was back up to 51 after college, so I knew I didn't necessarily get better when I was in college. I just became a better hurdler, but I didn't become a better athlete fast. Like, my 400 meter abilities did not improve. So like I said, I left college. I sat down with myself. I was an early coach. I was like 18. So I just sat down and was just like, what am I missing? What am I missing? What can I improve on? And I created a plan at 18, and my friends helped me. I did a lot of 450s. I did 500s. I focused on finishing faster in my 500s, not necessarily just taking it out and hanging on for dear life. I did 800. I did 200s with 8 times 200s. I did with very short rests. I did hard 300s. I did just a bunch of different things. So, matter of fact, let me just slow down and break it down, in some of the things that I've done. My biggest weakness that I was able to see in my 400 was that I could not finish. No matter how fast I took it out, no matter how slow I took it out, my ability to change gears from 250 to 400 was gone. I did not, like, my body was not able to change those gears. And it was very frustrating because sometimes I'll position myself in the perfect place coming on the second curve and was not able to finish. And it was just very frustrating. So, the one way I was able to solve that is give myself 500s. So I wasn't just giving myself like just very slow 500s. Like I said, my fastest time at that, my season's best for that year was a 51.0, 51.2, 51.0, something around there. So when I ran my 500s, especially at the beginning of that summer, I was only running like 60 to the 400. I would run 60 and then finish up in 15 seconds. So I was even splitting my 500s. Right, I would go 15, I would go 30, I would go 45, 60, and then finish up in 115. Right, it wasn't always perfect. Sometimes I would finish up in 116, sometimes it was 117, sometimes it was 112. But I always made sure to give more effort towards the end than I did at the beginning. While I was also doing that, I would also run hard 300s. Right, so I was running really hard 300s, running them in like 37 and some change. You know, there were times where I even ran like a hard 200, right? I would run a 200 at like 23.06, 23.1, 23.2, and just do one or two of them just to kind of keep my legs moving. You know, I'll be doing workouts like that just to really make sure my ability to run those hard runs was, you know, I didn't run any meets during that summer as well. So like I said, I worked on my strength. I worked on my speed endurance when it came to some of those lactic runs, 200s, 300s. And I gave myself plenty of rest in between. You know, I didn't necessarily do the, you know, 5 times 300s with, you know, at 45 seconds. I didn't do anything like that because, again, I was at the part of the season where I already did a bunch of races that year. I was in college. I've been racing since December, January, February, March, April, May. Why do I did 5 to 6 months worth of races, and I did pretty well at that. It was just that my ability to have that special endurance to be able to hold that pace of a 400 was just not there. I wasn't training for it in college. My coach didn't give me anything to help out with that, so I had to supplement it in my practices. So like I said, long story short, I also did speed work. I also did 60s. I also did 50s. I also did 150s. And I wasn't going super fast, you know. I was running them in like 17 lows. Sometimes I would cut the rest down, 4 or 5 minutes rest, and do repeated ones of 18. I remember a notable workout I did, because at that time I used to really visit speedendurance.com a lot and just get like, you know, just get certain different opinions about certain workouts I can do. And I remember there was this key workout I did. It was 5 times 200s or 6 times 200s. And it was supposed to be at ending. It was supposed to be at 400 meter pace. So not the 400 meter pace like the first 200, but like, let's say you're trying to run 50 seconds. It's supposed to be at 25. So it's supposed to be at that pace, the average of that pace. So I remember a really hard workout I did before I really PR'd was I ran 26, 25, 25, 25, 25, and then I finished up at 25.1. So, you know, I wasn't running, and I only did it with like a walking 200, which was like 3 minutes and 30 seconds rest. So the rest wasn't too crazy, but it really taught my body to be efficient. It taught my body to deal with lactic. It taught my body to learn how to finish. And like I said, I coupled that with the 500s. I coupled that with the fact that I was my fastest, 22.47. I was still doing the 50. So like I said, just the full balance of all those workouts together really helped. But one key thing I didn't really realize, because I have a journal of just all the workouts that I did during that time. The biggest thing I did not realize, though, was how much recovery I was giving myself. You know, sometimes I feel like when we follow all these workouts that people do, they don't give the recovery, the week, you know, take a week off if you feel sluggish, take a week off if you don't feel good. Funny enough, just as an athlete, even when I was that young, 18, 17 years old, I would just subconsciously just say, hey, I don't feel good. I feel tired. I feel sluggish. And I would give myself the opportunity to get a nice recovery in, and I would literally just take a week off. Take a week off, come back, and I'll feel brand new. So I gave my body plenty of time to adapt. You know, I'll give you guys kind of insight on how my last week went before I actually ran that sub 50. So I remember I took a week off. I traveled. It was July 4th-ish. I traveled to Orlando. I was living in Georgia at the time. I traveled to Orlando, spent some time with the fam, came back, and I did like a 10-minute run. I used to get a lot of back spasms back then, so I wasn't able to do like a super long run. So I did like a 15 minute run. My back was hurting. That was maybe like a Wednesday. On Thursday, I did like 5 times, 6 times 300s, where I was starting out at like 46, super sluggish. I had trainers on, and then all of a sudden I was able in those last 2 or 3, once I broke off some of the rust, to get down to 42 seconds. I would give myself a walking 300 rest. Like I said, I wasn't running them too fast. It was just about, you know, it just seemed like the appropriate thing to do at the time. It didn't make sense to go fast. All I did was just give myself that workout. After that, I did, it was Saturday. I think that was Thursday's workout or Friday's workout. The next workout I did after that was, I did 5 times 200s. Again, I did 26, 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, and basically was able to average between 25 and 26 with that limited amount of recovery. Then after that, I did, during that time, I also did some 150. So I believe the workout went like this. I want to just be very specific. So I believe Wednesday, I did the long run. Then Thursday, I did the 5 or 6 times 300s with like limited recovery. Then I came back and did some 150s. So I did 150s on Friday. Nothing crazy, like 4 times 150s at like 18 and some change. Then Saturday, I did 6 times 200s at 25 seconds. My first one was like 26. Then I gave myself Sunday off. Then Monday, I did a 450. So I did a 450, and woo, when I did that 450, I was just like, I was supposed to do 2 times 450s. That 450 I did, I split 53 through the 400 and just kept on going. I was able to turn over in the last part of the 150. I was able to shift gears. Like, I just felt really, really good. And I was able to finish up in like 58 seconds for the whole 450. So I was just like, yo, I feel strong. I feel like I'm in shape. I feel super strong. I feel good. And that same workout, I did a 250 and ran like 33 or 32 or 30, something like that. And I was just fully confident, like, I'm gonna be able to do something dangerous. That was on Monday. Tuesday, I took off. Wednesday, I had, Wednesday, I had, 6, I gave myself like 6 times 200s with like 60 seconds rest. I went 28, 27, 27, 27, 27. I remember the day, it was like a freaking tropical storm, and it was raining. It was on a concrete track. I was wearing flats. It was super slippery, but just my ability to be able to, you know, run while being in a nice rhythm and run and not think about the fact that, like, I was just able just to run, just like, you know, I wasn't running too fast. It was just really, really smooth. So then I take Thursday off. I have a nice ice bath, and I'm fully confident to go into go into Friday and kill this meet. So I run a 200. I put myself in the 1, the 2, and the 4. So I run the 200 first. I go like 22.7. My body isn't like turning over or whatever the case is. And mind you, everything that I was doing, I wasn't necessarily training myself to run a fast 200. My main goal for that summer was to run under 50 seconds for 400. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing extra. I had more than enough speed to be able to do it. Right, I've seen people do it off of having PRs of 23.5, 23 flat. I had a 22.4 PR, 22.7 is whatever, right? Then all of a sudden I ran the 400, right? So I ran the 400, and it was crazy. It was crazy at the time because it was at a nice track in Georgia at the time. I forget the name of the track, but it was a fast track. And I'm running against this other athlete. And he's just a beast, man. He's a 4.815 guy, really, really strong on the back stretch, on the back end of his races. And his PR at the time was a 48, was a 49, like 1 or something like that. He was also a 152, 153. He was a 402, a 1500 meter runner. Really, really talented athlete. So I wasn't intimidated though. I was just like, look, I've been training this whole time. I know I'm faster than him, and I know I'm strong enough to be able to give him some good competition. It wasn't even about him. It was about me and executing how I'm supposed to. So I took out the race. I probably took it out in like 24.5. I pushed out, really, got settled into a rhythm on the backstretch. Once I got on the curve, I began to pick up my pace, pump my arms a little bit faster, and able to really hit the gear. Once I hit the 120, I let my legs go and just fought. And when his PR is like a 23.5, 23 flat in the 200. So Very, very strong guy. And when I say he opened up, and me and him fought the whole time in the last, 100, 75 meters, 50 meters, 25 meters, all the way to the finish line. And he just got me right on the dip. And he ended up running a 40, I want to say he ran like a 49. No, I think he went 48.9. I pushed him to 48. He PR'd that race. And then I ran 49.5. So I was really, really happy with the fact that, I was able to run that specific time, because I never ran like that was a big jump from 51 to 49.5. And what's crazy is after I finished the race, I was just like, okay, like, I'm not sure if I hit it. I was like, okay, I probably ran 51 or 50. They told me I ran 49.5, bro. I was so happy. I was lit. I was jumping up and down. I was just like, that's the easiest freaking 49 I ever ran in my life. And it was the strong way. It felt smooth. And I think I even split it. I think I went like 24.5, and then I finished up in like a 25-second, 200. And I feel like, it felt like that just because I gave more effort towards the end. It just felt smooth, and I just felt like I could have done it again. And ironically enough, that was also the first time I broke 11 seconds for the 100. Shortly after that run, I went to I had to run maybe the 100 like in 30 minutes later, and I'm already happy. I'm just like, I run the 100 is whatever. And I ran the 100, took my time, was driving, slowly came up to top speed. And I dipped at the line, and it said 10.90, and I was just like, yo, I ran 10.9. Like, that was crazy, because I was not expecting it. I mean, I would do speed work, I would do my 50s and stuff, but I just think my strength levels at that particular part of the season were just fantastic, and I was just so happy and to really run that kind of race. So that was the first time I broke 50 seconds. It was the easiest 50 seconds sub 50 I ever ran. I ran sub 50 plenty of other times throughout the years and stuff, but that had to be my easiest time doing it, because I think I was in my fastest 200 meter shape. I was in my fastest 800 meter shape in terms of just doing the 500s, doing the 450s. I didn't do any 600s like that. I didn't do anything crazy. Like, I would do 30-minute runs maybe twice that whole 2-3 months. I just kept it really specific. I did my hard runs like they were supposed to be. I gave myself plenty of rest and recovery. I just let my body adapt. And because of that, I was blessed with the sub 50 from the gods. So, like I said, I just wanted to give you guys just a little story time. Just some, information. Maybe the information will help you break your sub 50 or sub 51 or sub 52. But, it's definitely possible. And I did this with just 2 friends. You know what I mean? I did this with 2 friends, no coach. I'm a coach now, but this was my introduction to coaching. If I told myself, if I can't coach myself to a sub 50, then what the hell am I doing trying to coach someone else, to break those barriers and to do what they need to do in order to reach their goals. So, I'm really excited, really looking forward to, really looking forward to see who's going to be using this information to, to achieve their goals. So, like I said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys gained a lot of knowledge and information from this story. And without further ado, this is D Brown with Track Headz. Thanks for watching. Peace.